So I
And
tried a London fog for the first time. No, we're doing a cold open. Cold open. Have you had a London
you're
fog
so
before?
weird. It's not a cold open if you say it's a cold open. I have no idea what a London fog is. I thought London fog was a coat or a cologne.
I also didn't know what it was until I went to the coffee shop yesterday and tried it. So a London fog is Earl Grey tea. They steam it with milk. So it's very milk heavy, but it's Earl Grey tea steamed with milk and they add lavender to it. It's very yummy until it gets cold. I don't like it when it's cold because when it's hot, it's very like light and nice and like creamy and
Mhm.
like kind of floral tasting. Like, you know, Earl Grey's kind of floral and then the lavender makes it more floral.
Mhm.
But then you know, I'm not very good at finishing hot drinks in time. And so there was like this much left in the cup and I had let it get too cold and I went to take a sip and I was like, this is just drinking lavender milk. And I did not I don't like milk. I do not like drinking cold milk. It was gross. But while it was hot, it was so delicious. You should get a London fog next time you get a chance.
Okay. I'll keep that in
Yes.
mind. And folks, as you can see, we have already started our coffee clatch. Hello, it is and Annie.
Ooh, you are breaking up on my end. I am Artemis. Hello. Also known as
And
Maya.
we are here to chat about a few things here and there. We, as usual, we will start up front with the yarn so that all the yarn folks can hear about that and then leave when we're done. Because I know they don't want to hear the rest of our ramblings.
Maybe they do. Stop saying that. Tell them to
But
stay.
before that, there's something I notice every time we set up, and I have to point it out so I can stop thinking about it, which is that your mother is crooked. Okay. I already
Oh.
knew, stop it. I'm
I
not
thought you were
talking
talking
about
about
that.
my piles and so I'm casually posing.
I'm not
This is my
talking
casual
about your
pose.
piles. No, I'm talking about the fact that I am crooked.
Are you?
Okay. Yes. I, well, figured this out years ago when I tried to make I tried to take a picture like this famous Celia Cruz picture where she has this afro and she's looking straight on at the camera. You've seen this picture before because it's on my Facebook. But
Mm-hmm.
I figured out when we were trying to take that picture years and years ago that it's hard for me to take a straight on picture because I am actually crooked. For my head to be straight, okay,
Oh, oh,
okay, okay, for me to be straight on with the camera, see how I'm straight on now? But my
yes.
head is tilted. This is at a very uncomfortable angle for my head to be tilted at. And I have one of my shoulders is up. My right shoulder is up.
Wait, relax
But
again?
yeah,
That's your relaxed default pose.
that's my relaxed default pose. This is me sitting straight up in a chair, trying to be like, this is me trying to be, okay, this is me trying to be straight up in a chair. But you see that my right shoulder is down and my head tilts. So
Well,
to get,
pull your shirt over a little bit. Because your shirt's also
it's
pulled a little
not,
bit. Pull your no, the other
it's
way, yeah.
not, it's not my shirt.
But it helps.
Okay. But I'm still crooked. But if I do this and do this, then I'm straight.
I
But
I
this is
fully
not
would have
comfortable
never noticed.
because
That's
you have
like
seen me all my life.
I know it's like when I was in music ed in college, or when I was in like music classes in college, we were listening to The Lion King, and in The Lion King, like just as friends, we were in a class. But in Hakuna Matata, there's the one line that he sings. Oh, I can't remember, but it's a line that Pumbaa sings that it's like the long note that he holds out, and because we've listened to it for years, we're like, oh, that's just the note. That note is so flat, and then when you hear the song with the actual note, it's so jarring to hear the note in the correct pitch. It is so. I'll have to send you a video to it later, or maybe you can put it in the description. But it is so jarring. That is what just happened to me. Is I was like, what have you done with my mother?
There's your mother right there. See, I fixed her. I fixed her. She's all good now. But it is very difficult for me to breathe and be comfortable like this.
You feel like a
Even though it
robot.
looks like
I hate it.
even though it feels like I'm sitting like a it looks like I'm sitting like a normal person. This is so uncomfortable.
I
I
hate it.
feel
Put it
my
back.
in a minute, my lungs feel constricted now. I have to
Your whole
have to
body's
get
misaligned.
back.
Your lungs are misaligned and everything.
It just feels like, see, look at me. I'm just. It looks like I'm about to
About to
fall
tip
over.
away.
Okay, you want to start your projects first, or do you want me to do mine since I have none or almost none?
Um, well, I'll do one because, like I said, I've only got two things and then one like extra thing to kind of talk about, but not really show. So I'll start with mine. So remember, my mother remembers. I didn't mention this in the video because this happened Sunday of last week. I got some chunky yarn because I wanted to make a blanket because on Sunday mornings I have a not really a market, but I vend at a spot that's a bit more bougie, and so I was like, okay, they'll probably spend some money on a blanket. So I got some chunky yarn. We're going to discuss this later. We need to work on the labels of what chunky and super chunky means. But anyway, the yarn that I got was too big. But I had already opened 2 packs of it. So I went ahead and used the 2 skeins that I opened. I haven't used the second half of the 2 skeins, but I made a cowl.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, the sparkly. Oh, there's the sparkly. Okay. I was like, it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
showing
you can
up.
see the sparkle. Yeah, it's showing up very well in this camera.
Yeah, it's sparkly in the white too, but that's gonna be hard to capture. But I made a cowl that I can hang on, I will demonstrate. I just have to take my headphones off. Give me just a moment. Talk to the people.
Talk to the people. There's nothing to talk to the people about, but
Ta-da.
dear, dear.
It's easier to put on when I don't have on my hat. I'm
I don't
so
know
warm
about
right
that,
now.
babe.
But
You
it's
are
so
up in the
warm.
mountains, and it's in 20s up there, so maybe that would be comfortable to somebody up there.
Yeah, it literally just snowed the
I'm
other
used
day.
to cowls. I'm used to cowls being more drapey, and that looks very
Yeah,
stiff.
it is very stiff because this yarn is so thick and chunky, and I couldn't like no matter how I was crocheting it, it was getting very stiff. So this is more like one of those collars that you put on they put on you to make sure that you're not injuring your neck.
A whiplash collar.
Yes. I'll
A
just keep this in my
designer
car and then
whiplash collar. Okay.
it makes me think of Scam Goddess. I'll just keep this in my car and if someone like hits me a little bit, then I'm just gonna throw this on like, oh no, my neck, you got me. Oh no. Get some insurance
Weirdo.
money. Okay, I'm gonna take this back off now. You go ahead and well, I want to hear about your project. Give me a second to take my headphones off.
Okay. One, two.
Oh, I was trying not to pull my hat with it. All right, I'm
Okay.
back. What do you got?
Well, like I said, I don't have a lot. So why don't we start with my only FO this week, which is, since you started with an FO, which is the hat.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I want to see how it turned out. Ooh, I like it. I like those colors. I feel like I say that every
Yep.
time you show it to me.
Yeah, it looks more, from what I can see on my screen, it looks more bluish than it actually
It
looks in
does.
real life. I mean,
It's got a
there is
little bit of
blue,
purple, but
but you've seen the yarn in person because you
mm-hmm.
saw me when I was first working on it several months ago. So you've seen it. It has a little bit of a puckered top. I was thinking about putting a see how it's kind of puckered because the
Yeah.
top finishes in a way that I did not expect, but
Do you have to like
I was
cinch it
thinking of,
in?
Yeah, I was gonna put a pom pom on it, but your father said it would look better without it. So it's supposed to be a slouchy. Pretend that
Yeah.
this is a head. It's supposed to be a slouchy
Yeah, that looks
situation.
good. I'm
So
thinking about making, seeing the pucker top of yours. I'm thinking about making some bun hats too, because there's a lot of, I see
a
a lot of
messy bun
ladies
hat.
and some guys, yeah, walking around with just a big bun on top of their head, and I'm like, you can buy a
Uh-huh.
hat too.
Yeah, you're there with the Caucasians who would use a bun hat because I'm not using a bun hat. But
Oh, me
um,
either.
to recap, this is done with black mainstays yarn. Um, the variegated is Red Heart Super Saver in the color Grape Fizz, and I don't think I even used half that skein of Grape Fizz.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the big jumbo ones. It's just the regular size Super Saver, and I don't even think I used half that skein, so I could get another hat or something out of it. But this was just because I liked the pattern. I saw it,
Mm-hmm.
and bought the yarn because I had run across the yarn more than once and just wanted to see what it looked like worked up because I liked the color in the skein. So that's all that was.
Yeah, I don't think I
Yeah. So
went. I don't think I said what yarn this was. This is also Mainstays. It's the Mainstays. I want to say chenille something. I had. Oh no, I don't know where I did with the papers for these because I was so mad that I
you
got the
said
wrong yarn.
you said it was Mainstay Shield Sparkle or something because I looked it up for you
Yeah,
when you showed it to me last time, and it
yeah,
is.
Mainstay chenille sparkle.
And you said it was chunky, but it's
It's
on
yeah,
Ravelry they
it's
call it
labeled as
jumbo.
number 6, super chunky, but yeah. And then the pattern,
Ravelry they
I
call
didn't
it
actually.
jumbo.
For the pattern, I didn't actually look up a pattern. I just did. I did because I was doing houndstooth for something else, and so I just did houndstooth, like 3 stripes of houndstooth to get kind of the diamond
Mhm.
shape going on there. I really like it. I like the diamond shape. I like that little pattern there, but it is kind of stiff. I may just keep this for myself
I've
because
never
I'm
done it.
vending out there. Oh, go ahead.
I've never done a houndstooth pattern, so that that has me interested. I don't know what I would
It's
use it for,
really
but
easy. Like it's really easy. It's just alternating single crochets and double crochets, and then you do the reverse on top of it, just over and over, and so it makes it go kind of up and down. But it was really easy enough that I could just make this up on the spot. And then my
mhm.
only other thing, the thing that because I finished this like Sunday night or whatever, and so the only other thing that I've
Mhm.
been working on all week, and if anybody comes here from TikTok and sees what's going on, don't be too disappointed in me because I still haven't finished. I went and bought the correct yarn for the blanket I've been trying to work on. So I haven't finished it, but I'm working on a blanket. A chunky blanket. Where's the camera? Let me put it on you again.
Yay!
Blanket.
And
I
that's
you
what
can see this row of white top.
you went back and bought the Bernat, right?
Yeah, I went back and bought the Bernat. Oh, I was showing you the wrong side. That was the wrong side. Hang on, let me flip it over so you can see the right side. And I'm actually because my camera is movable. I'm just gonna bring you in just for the up close and personal so we can see. Let me turn. There we go. So you can kind of see the texture of it a little bit. It's interlocking front post triple crochets or
That
treble crochets
that
or whatever.
looks that looks even thicker. That yarn looks even thicker than the mainstays.
Yeah, it's thick. It's like it's pretty thick. Like when I fold it up, it's like it's a chunky squishy piece of blanket. So I really like this pattern like so much that it makes me want to make another blanket, and I don't even like making big projects.
Well, but I mean, that one's working up quickly.
Yes, absolutely. And this
So,
is what I'm going to be working on while we're talking today.
well, what I'm working on,
Ooh,
okay.
pulling up the video in the background.
I I'm just paranoid, because the first two times we had people show up in the chat, and this time nobody showed up. So I just wanted to make sure that the
That
video
we're
was
not
showing
missing
on
anybody. Yeah.
YouTube, and it is on YouTube, so I shut YouTube back down. That's all that was. Okay, so what I am currently working on is still the blanket for
Baby cousin.
yeah, the mile a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The mile a minute baby cousin blanket. I am currently doing let's see, I attached the April strip, so I'm doing the May strip, which is called Big Dot Cookie or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it, you can see that these are big dots here.
Mm-hmm. They look like those
So
chocolate dip shell cookies.
you do like I'm gonna work this stitch right now. You do half of it. So you're doing like 5 double crochets all in one stitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll do the other half of the cookie on the next row.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
It looks good though. I like it.
I keep the, at I When I originally started doing it, I mean, I like the look of it overall, but then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I bothering to try all these different stitches when it's all in this variegated yarn? So nobody's really going to be able to tell that each row is a different stitch because it's
I
just
mean,
going
they'll
to
be able to
look
tell once you put it all
like
together.
black and rainbow. It's just going to look like black and rainbow. But
Yeah, but it makes different shapes.
it makes it interesting for me to work on it, so I'm not doing the same thing over and over. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
picked it. But I've
And
almost wished I
when
had
they
used
get the
different
blanket, they'll be
colors.
able to see.
But see how this is, I don't know if you can see
Mm-hmm.
it.
No, I
So
see it.
see, this is just like the first half of the cookie.
Yeah.
And then let's see. One. No, that's not right. Took me forever to memorize this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's little things like I can't remember. Okay, because on one side you chain three, and on the other side you chain five, and I'm like, okay, which one? It took me forever to try to remember which
Which
one
side you chain on?
is which.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that when I'm using my stitch counter, which I use what's that stitch counter that we use that I really like? Might as well
I can't
mention it
remember.
if people are here for crochet stuff. What are you called? Um,
Are you pulling it up, or you want me to pull it
I
up?
am. It's on Android and iPhone, and it's called Easy Knitter Counter, Row Counter Knit N, as in just the letter N, crochet. And it lets you can have multiple projects. You only have a certain amount of projects if you have the unpaid version, but it lets you do a good chunk of projects. Like I've been using this for a hot minute, and I just had to go back and delete some old projects to open it up. But it lets you do multiple projects. You can set multiple parts for each project, and then just looking at the blanket that I'm working on right now. So you've got a big plus and minus button. Let me see if I can turn off the light there. You've got a big plus and minus button for your row counter, and then you've got a mini plus and minus button for like any individual counters. You've got a timer there, so you can time how long you're doing your project. And there's a note section at the bottom, which in the notes, I'll usually write like, do 6 rows of this and then 5 rows of this and then repeat like just little bits of the pattern that I think I might forget so that I can
Uh-huh.
keep track of stuff so I don't have to pull up the pattern or have the pattern up on half of my phone screen for the entire time. So I really like, you can ask her. I really love this row counter. I've been using it and I like talk about it all the time. It's really good.
I I use it off and on. I don't use it regularly because I've kind of gotten used to a couple years ago when I was, me and stitching, it goes in phases. And when I was
Mm-hmm.
going through a phase where I was stitching regularly, I got the idea that because part of the problem is that since I do go, like I'll go months where I don't stitch anything, and then I want to pick stuff back up, but I feel guilty about the unfinished projects that are still sitting
Mm-hmm.
in bags. in the closet. So then I go back to see, well, maybe I can finish this one, or maybe I can finish that one and get a quick hit of gratification rather than starting a new
Of just getting
project.
something done.
But
Yeah.
yeah, because then it'll spur me on to want to do more projects. But then I can't figure out where I left off
Mm-hmm.
because it's been sitting there for 6 months. And so the last time I went through this, I said, okay, I'm going to start keeping stuff in a notebook. And so I have one of those cheap composition notebooks, the
You
bound
have
ones, not,
so many of those notebooks
not the
for
spiral,
so
not
many
the spiral.
things.
I do not.
You do. You will use a composition notebook for so many. Every time we're doing something, you're like, oh, I need to write this down. Here comes another notebook out of who knows where. You have so many of those notebooks.
No, the composition notebook is specifically for projects. You're talking about some of these like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is not a composition notebook. This is a spiral
Oh,
notebook, and
in my
it's
head,
one of
they're
these
all school
spiral.
notebooks.
Yeah, if you look, this is more of a school notebook because if you could see closer, it has the
Perforation to rip it out.
not perforation. No, you see, it's got these squares, so it's more like a journal where it's got a square for you to write the date. It's got a square for you to write the title.
Mm,
That's what you see me taking notes in a lot. These project planning books. That's what it says. And it has like prepared by date, and then it has notes, and then it has a little checklist you can put down. I use these a lot, but no,
mm-hmm.
I have a proper
Like black and white.
composition book. Yes, the black and white spotted, although mine is pink and white spotted. And
Mm,
I don't write the whole pattern in there, but I'll write like almost the same thing that probably should go on Ravelry, except I don't put this on Ravelry because it's like, well, to me, Ravelry is like the world facing where somebody will come across my profile and see what I'm working on. So I don't feel like I need to put notes on this is where I left off.
hmm
You know,
I see a lot of people do that though. Like when I'm looking at patterns, I started more and more going to people's notes to see, oh, is this pattern correct? Or is there something that needs to be corrected? Or like, oh, is there something that makes this easier or whatever? Or like also just to see examples of people doing it with different kinds of yarn or whatever. Because there's a lot of times where I'll look at a project and it's done in like sport weight yarn or some smaller kind of yarn. And I'm like, I've got worsted. Will this work? To see other people do it. And I see a lot of people putting notes of, I started this on such and such date. I'm gonna have to put it down because something happened. I'll pick it up later, and then put in the date for the next time and say, picked it up again. I'm having trouble with this, but I'm leaving off on row 36 with the treble crochets or whatever. Like I see a lot of people doing that.
I put a little bit of that. I've started putting a little bit of that. Like I put on there, I started this project, and I put the date and who the project is intended for. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
put the yarn in the hook and all that where they have it um, for you on Ravelry. But like the 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 composition book is more for like because I can't carry Ravelry around with me. Number one, so like if I'm working out in public somewhere, or working
Can't
at somebody
carry.
else's house, and I want because I will do tick marks for like how many rows I need to finish and stuff like
You
that.
you say this as if you don't always have your phone on your person.
Have you know how small my phone is?
Oh
You
yeah,
know how
you got the old lady eyes. Okay, that makes sense.
I the websites
Because
like
I
that
will,
don't display well on my little teeny tiny ticky tockety phone.
yeah, because I will
I,
fully pull up. I can even show you right now what I do whenever I'm doing patterns. I do split screen, and I'll have. Let me go just find a random pattern. I will do split screen, and I'll have my row counter at the top and as the primary one, so that one doesn't ever close. And then my bottom app is just the pattern. I'm pulling up the pattern I'm working on right now. Oh, my phone is so slow. Technology curse. Don't betray me. But I'll do this. And so I've got the row counter at the top and then my pattern at the bottom. And then if I need to, I'll like zoom in, which I usually do. I'll just zoom way in and
My
just have it
phone
is
would
just
have a
not going to show.
my phone would have a fit trying to do, but you're on an Android too. My phone, this iPhone 6 is not gonna let me have a split screen, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Android
I'm sure
superior.
I'm sure that the new iPhones probably let you do all that kind of stuff, but this I've got the iPhone 6
Mm,
and screen is tiny. It's not doing all that. And like you said, I have the old lady eyes, so that's not working. So anyway,
mm.
before we get too rambly, that's what we are both currently working on. Do you want to elaborate on anything that you have in the pipeline, or are you not even thinking that far
Yes,
ahead?
actually. Oh, I am. I very much am. I was scrolling through because every once in a while I just scroll. I want to find the weird stuff on Ravelry. I don't want to find just everybody's hat and scarf and blanket, even though I'm making just a plain Jane blanket right now. I love making weird stuff and having stuff on my table that people are like, I didn't know you could crochet that. Like I've got the witch hats on my table. I keep the like Among Us figures on my table. I've only got one left. I need to make some more. And like my swear word washcloths, which are still hilarious to me. It will never not be funny. And people just chuckle every time they pass my table and see it. But so I found a pattern for making dragon scale. They called it gauntlets. I wanted to call it gauntlets. And then my husband, who is very big into D&D and fantasy stuff, is like, those aren't gauntlets, those are bracers. And so but
Whatever. I know exactly the pattern
exactly.
you're talking about. I know exactly because I just saw it last week. I
Well,
know
the ones
exactly
that
what you're
I'm
talking
looking at, they're not crochet dragon scales. So dragon scale bracers, but they're not crochet dragon scales. You can order metal dragon scales, which I've seen before because I make jewelry and stuff. But you can order the metal dragon scales and weave those into the front half
in like
of the
beads.
bracers. Yes, like with beads. And so it'll be like shiny and like reflective and stuff. And so I got some dragon scales. I found some on Etsy. I got some dragon scales. They're out in the car. So I'm not going to go get them. So you're not going to see them. But this is the thing, because I've been teasing on TikTok for the last 2 days of I've got a secret project that I've got a package for. This is what it is. I got some dragon scales in, and I'm so excited to make these dragon scale bracers because people have been, I've seen a lot of people walking around without like wrist warmers and like hands shoved all the way in their pockets or like in their armpits like this, walking around trying being cold because our weather dropped like 20 degrees in a day up here in the mountains. It
Uh-huh.
got real cold. So I feel like those, especially in our area, and on Sunday, the bougie market that I do, I vend in front of an LGBT, Black Lives Matter, like a very like friendly area, and then also just a lot of artsy people are also there because
Uh-huh.
it feels like those kind of environments lend themselves to artsy people. Um,
Mhm.
but a lot of artsy people in that area. I've talked to several people about playing D&D and stuff like that. And so I feel like those will go over very well in that area. If not, also like I'm also trying to set up a website so I can sell online. Cause I got TikTok people that love D&D and stuff. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to make this cool thing. So I've
So what
got
happened
that.
to
And
your
then
Etsy? What about your
I,
Etsy?
I mean, I still have my Etsy, but Etsy has made some turns that makes it not very like I've bought some things from Etsy when I couldn't find them from other places. Like I looked a lot of other places to try to find those dragon scales, and find the size that I wanted. But I had to turn to Etsy, which is unfortunate. But Etsy has made some changes that just it seems like they're not very like creator friendly. They're being more like Etsy proactive instead of creator proactive as far as like payments and fees and advertising and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm like, let's steer away. And I've seen a lot of other creators talk about this of like, maybe let's steer away from Etsy and try your own thing. But I talked to one of my vendor friends at the farmer's market. She's the one that made I don't even have them around me right now. My thigh high rainbow socks, my thigh high tie dye socks. I was talking to
Uh-huh.
her and she said it's real easy to set up a Shopify and then use
Shopify.
Shipyard for the shipping, because shipping is the thing that scares me the most, is like trying to figure out the pricing for that and figuring out all that stuff. But she said she uses Shopify and then Shipyard or Pirate Ship, not Shipyard, Pirate Ship. I'm looking at our StreamYard thing and thinking Shipyard. But Pirate Ship for shipping, and it helps calculate the shipping and it'll help print out your labels and all that stuff, which is what Etsy did for me previously. So I'm gonna try to switch over to that hopefully fairly soon, and then throw things up. And I think I'm just gonna do like a lot of creators do, just have like an opening day at the beginning or like halfway through the month of, okay, I'm open, I've got all my items, and then once they sell out, close the shop again, build up some inventory, and then open it back up.
I see people on Instagram and Facebook back when people were selling those rotten
Mm-hmm.
Lululemon leggings, doing that kind of
Oh,
thing. You know,
oh no.
drop down in the comments or drop down in the DMs. I got this open, this available, and this available, and this available.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I wish you good luck on that, and I will try not to worry about my poor child starving, being a
I'm
starving
not.
artist.
I'm
What
not
else?
gonna. I'm not gonna be a starving artist. I'm gonna be a thriving artist. We are manifesting thriving in this new economy.
Okay, we're not using the word manifesting because that sounds like those prosperity gospel people. We're not
Oh, I'm
doing
not
that.
doing that. I am having a positive attitude. That's what I think of as manifesting. Having a positive attitude, because I feel like if you have a negative attitude, you're gonna do negative things and then it'll lead to bad stuff. So if you're manifesting, you're having a positive attitude, so you're going into everything happy and more likely good things are gonna happen. That's what I'm thinking.
I know what
Go
you're
into it having
thinking.
a good
I
attitude.
just but just like I don't like the word what are the words that annoy me? Journey,
Mm-hmm.
alliance.
I don't understand journey.
Yes, alliance annoys me. Manifest is on that list. See, other people have words that like moist. I don't know why the
Mm-hmm.
word moist bothers people. The words
It
that
just
bother
conjures
me
up
are
gross images.
see it doesn't conjure up anything for me other than cake. But the words that annoy me are ones that get like overused. One that's on
Mm-hmm.
the teeny tiny edge of annoying me is gaslighting,
Mm.
because especially since people a lot of times aren't using it correctly. So it
Oh
drives me
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. Or
Um,
like people using it as like a joke or whatever.
yes.
Yeah,
So
I feel you. One of those mainstream things that bothers me is not just a word, but the phrase "trust the process." Ooh,
oh
it irritates me to no end, because if I am watching your tutorial right now, ma'am, I'm in your video. I'm here with you. I am already, the fact that I am here with you means that I am trusting. You don't need to say it. You don't need to say it. Like, I know that things don't, I know that you don't take a piece of paper, put a pencil to it, all of a sudden there's a Picasso. Like, I know there is a path you have to take to get there. You have to mix the batter before you have a cake. You don't need to tell me to trust the process. I am here. It's
so
just so
weird.
frustrating. All right. So what else do we have on the
I
list?
have
I don't have the list
one
pulled
I
up.
have one more. I have
Oh,
one
okay.
more upcoming projects, but I'm trying out something on the screen. So not
Ah, ooh, I like it. We
see
should do this
I
from
need
now on. That way people know where we are.
yes, I have and I can have those set up and saved to use. So I need
Ooh,
to
okay.
start doing I need to start doing that. But okay. So currently, let's see, how did we do this last time? We did this, and
Oh, are you trying to screen
then
share something?
we did this. Yep. Let's see, we did this. See, this would be a good time if your sister was available to edit out all these moments where I
Mm,
am trying to figure out what we are doing.
who says she's not available? She has offered multiple times to edit videos for us.
She's not available. Okay. So
Okay.
the share, there it is. Share.
Isn't video editing basically what she graduated in?
It is.
So if we let her edit the videos, would that not be giving her some exposure? and seeing it would
It
be helping us
would.
so that people see our videos. And then also, so maybe we should call her.
But see, I have this set so it automatically goes up on YouTube, so I don't know how she would do any editing to it, but
Can
we'll
you set
see.
it so that it saves to your computer instead?
No. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, we'll figure it out because she can maybe just download the video and then edit it, and you can repost it.
Okay. So,
Oh, that's so tiny.
oh well, all you're gonna see is the picture. We're not doing
Oh,
the
okay. It's so cute. I want to make one.
See, I was going to do um I was going to make I was going to make a dress, and I kept looking for dress patterns, and all the dress patterns that I really liked, were paid patterns, and you know me, I tend to lean toward free patterns. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to the point where I will pay for a pattern, but if somebody's offering it for free, I always go for that first because habits die hard. But
Mm-hmm.
even with the paid patterns, because I got to a point where there's nothing in the free pattern, so I was willing to pay about $5 for a pattern. But all the free patterns, I mean, all the paid patterns were for DK. The ones that I liked were for DK weight yarn. And
And
I
that's
had already
the
bought
DK
that's
is
like
the
the sport weight.
smaller, the sport weight.
DK
Okay.
is like sport weight. It's like 3.
Okay. Y'all
And
have
I'd
to excuse
already
me. I am having this whole crisis over yarn sizing. And so I'm trying to make sure I understand.
and it doesn't help that your mother is an old lady who still uses the words instead of saying number 4, number 3, number whatever, like the
Mm-hmm.
modern stitchers do. So I so yeah, so all the patterns that I liked were DK, and I
Mm-hmm.
finally came across 2 and I kind of liked them, and then I looked at them and I was like, this looks like more complicated than I really want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I happened to on Ravelry, you know how you can I said, let me take a look one more time, see if anybody said something new. But I don't know if you've ever done on the advanced search for patterns, you can set it to look only crochet patterns, only knitting patterns,
Yes.
or
Oh,
knit
always.
plus crochet. Okay. So I sometimes forget about that setting. And so I had it for some reason, it was set to just show me crochet stuff. And then this sweater popped up, and I had not
Mm-hmm.
seen it in my previous searches before. And at first I thought it was a dress, and it was like, no, it's a sweater. And I was like, you know what? I sweater crochet. The reasons I picked decide to switch to this over a dress is it's worsted weight. It crochet is really hot right now, and your cousin is a young mother who is a fashionable girl who
Yeah.
probably knows that crochet is hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
So having her daughter in a crochet sweater would be cool. I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
And it appeals to my sense of symmetry, where
Okay.
I made her a blanket out of that off the hook yarn, and then I made her newborn baby brother a blanket out of the off the hook yarn. And then I knit him a sweater, which I haven't sent yet, but I knit him a sweater. And so I wanted to put something in the package. When I send his blanket and his sweater, I wanted to put something in the package for her. So I was going to make her a dress because I thought that would be the perfect thing for that Lion Brand jeans yarn that I
Mm-hmm.
bought. Let me take this off the screen because we don't need it anymore. But for
Phew! Goodness.
bless you. For that
Thank you.
Lion Brand, I thought that would be perfect for that Lion Brand jeans yarn that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
had the whole thing was a dress is what I had in mind. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like blue jeans and it's really soft.
Yeah, I like it.
So I could just picture a dress. But then since I made him a sweater, I can make her a sweater.
And then they'll
And
have
then
matching
it's like,
sweaters.
well, not matching sweaters because I'm not going to make her
But
the same kind of sweater. Does that
matching
make
that
any
they're
sense?
in that they're both crochet.
Yeah, the symmetry is that they're both sweaters because his
Mm-hmm.
is actually knit, and that's why I was going to knit
Oh, okay.
hers, but knit her dress. But I think I'm going to make this crochet sweater instead. I think.
Yeah, I was looking at
I
some crochet
think.
dresses a while back. That made me think because I am really attracted to the like the cakes where it spirals in and has all the different colors. And so I've seen a
Uh huh.
couple people make like baby like mandala dresses out of the
Uh
cakes,
huh.
and it just uses.
That.
I also very much love when there's one pattern and it'll use up the whole skein and I don't have to buy
Mm,
multiples or have something less left over. I just want to use that skein for that project and then we're done. Especially when it
that
comes to those
was
cakes, because I'm like, I don't
that's
want to miss any colors. Oh, go ahead.
that was the other thing, which was
Hmm?
that oh, that was my other thought, was that the dresses that I looked at, all the examples were they were made in like a variegated yarn or one of those cake yarns, so they were really colorful, and I felt like this yarn would look too the dress would look too plain in this yarn.
Hmm.
So, but I had already bought this yarn and I really wanted, you know me, I buy yarn for per project. I don't buy a yarn just because I like the yarn. And
I am absolutely the opposite. Like, if I know I have a
well,
project coming up, I'll go buy the yarn for that project. But sometimes I will just wander through the store in the yarn section and say, "Ooh, that looks pretty."
I'll look at it and say it looks pretty, but I don't buy it unless I can convince myself they are standing in the store that I know what I'm going to use it for,
Yeah, that's what I
because
do in my
I'm just
head in the moment. I will fully convince myself standing right there. Oh yeah, I could definitely make XYZ out of this yarn. Like I am a master of convincing myself to buy things I don't need.
no, I no. Mm-mm. I mean, it was a strain for me to buy that Great Fizz yarn when,
Hmm.
and I immediately had to turn it into something as soon as it came in the house because it was like I can't.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this blanket yarn. I like the other things are easy. If it's like one skein or something, it's a lot easier. But buying the yarn for this blanket, this is $50 worth of yarn that I'm holding in my hand right now. $50 and 15 hours worth of work in my hand right now.
Mm.
And I was like, $50. Oh, I think my issue with
That
that
hurt.
though is trying to like when it's cheaper yarn, then I'm like, oh, I could just charge $30 for this and it'll be fine. But when I'm buying $50 worth of yarn, like I've already set the price in my head. I went scrolling through like Etsy to see and like scrolling kind of online in general to get some general ideas of how people price like handmade blankets and stuff. And so this baby is going to be $150 no matter how long it takes me. Even though I am timing myself to see how much I'm shorting myself on that price, but it's going to be $150 because I there's no way I can do $50 worth of yarn minimum of I'm at 13 hours right now. I'm at I'm at almost 14 hours right now. So there's I can't do less than
But see,
that.
that that's another reason, going back to you using that app. That's another reason why it's good for you to use that app, because you need to keep track of how much time you're spending to do something because you're
Mm-hmm.
selling it and you price things. I'm really not selling things. I'm making things to give to various people just to keep my
Yeah.
hands busy and, keep my mind busy. So I don't necessarily need to keep track of how long it took me.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a general idea, but I don't really need to keep track of how long it took me to do X, Y, and Z. So next on our list, you were talking about yarn size labeling. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about that? We've already talked alluded to it a
Yeah,
couple
you and I have
times.
talked about it a little bit. I just want to talk to the people. Maybe somebody at Lion Brand or I don't know, the Big Yarn will figure this out and fix this for me because it is
They're not
so
fixing it
frustrating.
for you.
Hi, Darlene. Darlene
They're not
jumped
fixing
in
it for
just in
you.
time. I want them to fix it specifically for me. I have the audacity right now. I want someone to fix it just for me. So that's the issue that we had earlier. Darlene, I'm going to catch you up. So I'm making a blanket right now. It's a very nice blanket. I like it. So this is the Bernat yarn, and you see the size of this, that yarn, and then I made a cowl, and it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of see the size of that yarn. It's a big, thick, chunky yarn. Both of these yarns, both the skeins of those yarns on both of them were labeled on the paper label in the year of our Lord 2022. Both of them were labeled number 6 super bulky. These are not in the same grouping because if I'm looking for a pattern to do something super bulky, this said super bulky and you can make a blanket with it. This, I would have to buy this. I bought $50 worth to make a blanket. This, I would have to buy a minimum of $100 to make a blanket. I just add more numbers. There's literally an infinite amount of numbers that we can use. Please just add more numbers. Like, oh, you're fine, Darlene. And you can always go back and look at the videos later if you want to see what we were talking about. It was just more of us rambling, like I'm doing right now about this yarn. I don't like Ravelry has it right, at least. Like they've got, we need to work on people labeling their own stuff properly, but at least Ravelry has the option to label fingering, worsted, DK, yada, chunky or bulky, super bulky, and then they have jumbo, which, yeah, it makes sense that this would fall into jumbo. This is some real big yarn. This, it makes me so angry that they're both super bulky. And so when I'm trying to find projects and make sure that I have the right size yarn and the right amount of yarn to make sure that my project is going to end up the right size, if you have everything from this to this labeled super bulky, what am I to do with that? Luckily, I am like an experienced crocheter, and so as I started crocheting, I was like, "Oh no, this is not going to work. This is something's wrong here. This is not going to be figured out." But imagine a new crocheter saying, "Oh, I'm going to make one of those trendy, bulky blankets. Oh, it just says I need to buy 6 skeins. Okay, they buy 6 skeins of this, and they end up with like a bathroom mat. Like there's not enough." End of rant.
Child.
It makes me so angry.
I know.
I don't. It makes me so like the least we need is just proper labels on things because it makes me feel like trying to buy women's clothing when things are labeled. And this is a small, but this is also a small, but it fits a plus size person, but this one doesn't fit a plus size. Or this one says that it's plus size, but it actually only fits straight size people. Like, ugh. Can we please work on universal? Like, and in the fashion industry, I kind of understand. You want to do your own thing. You have your own labels. Like, I kind of understand that. But yarn feels like there should be a more universal labeling for yarn. I don't understand.
Well,
I said end of rant and then kept going.
They feel like it is universal.
But
I
it's
mean,
not.
that's why they went to numbers from saying like DK, sport, worsted, whatever. They went to numbers, and I guess that was supposed to make it more
But they switched the
understandable.
numbers and then said, you know
Now,
what, 6 is enough. 6 is enough. I don't understand.
mm. Okay, so you made me watch this video
Oh yeah.
for crocheted socks.
What did you think of it? So we watched, I'll explain for Darlene. So there was this video, this woman, I just happened to come across it for some reason because we both, thank you, Darlene, vindication. But so there was this video that came across because me and my mother both were not a big fan of crochet socks because we feel like they're super chunky. I might make some anyway because it's cold up here, so maybe people want to layer some chunky socks and they're like big, thick, like winter boots or whatever. But I just am not a huge fan of the look of them. But and also I don't want to try to figure out crocheting in the round and all that stuff, like figure out the sizing and all that and heels and yada yada. But I came across this video just purely by coincidence of this lady crocheting a sock, but I think she took inspiration from the way that some people can knit socks, where she crochets the whole thing flat. And so it'll start at like just above the heel and it'll go through the heel to the toe and yada yada. And then you just sandwich it together and sew it together and it's a sock, which blows my mind. And it makes me want to make some socks now that I have seen that. Mother, what did you think of this pattern?
I thought it was interesting. Something about it looked vaguely familiar to me, and then as soon as
Mm-hmm.
you said, um, as soon as I started listening to the very beginning of it, where she said, "This I was inspired by a knit pattern," I was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, then I need to look at how to do this in knitting because, as we both said, we don't like crochet socks."
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you look it up on how to do it in knitting?
I did. I did.
That doesn't sound overwhelmingly
Trying.
happy. Oh, you're looking
No,
it
oh
up?
no. I was trying to get a thumbnail to put in the
Oh, of the pattern. Ooh, I am struggling.
yes.
You're speaking of Llama Mama. Is that who did the video?
No, it wasn't Llama Mama. I know who you're talking about. It wasn't Llama Mama. She does mostly looming stuff though, doesn't she? I've watched her a couple times.
Oh, I tried to center
No,
pull
this
this
was
brunette.
somebody relatively new to me anyway. A young lady called her channel called Brunaticality.
Mm.
Let's see, is it
It
showing?
looks
There it
so
is.
cool though. Yeah, it looks so simple and it makes me want to do it. And I don't
Yeah,
like crochet socks.
yeah. I saw right. I watched about half of this video, and so I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, it looks. Yeah, this is one of those patterns where you do it, where knitters, to my mind anyway, knitters and crocheters tend to fall into this thing of making something because the construction of it is interesting. So it would be
Mm-hmm.
fun to make, but
Yes.
it's not necessarily something anybody wants to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, those crochet socks probably I can't see myself wearing them inside a shoe because of the bumpiness of them. But
But as far as
the
like cute socks to walk around the house in or something, they look pretty
yes.
cute.
Yes, something to keep your feet warm while you're in the house. I was just thinking about that the other day because here in the office where I am filming, I also do my work in here, and it's, as you said, the temperature has dropped. It is cold, and I have my sweatpants on and everything, and I'm good, but then there's a space between my shoes and the bottom of my sweatpants where my poor little ankles could
Mm-hmm.
use a sock.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I could see wearing something like that around the house, but I wouldn't want, if I was while I'm sitting here working, but I wouldn't want to walk on that because I just don't feel like I want the bumpiness under the bottom. I could be wrong. I'm just going on speculation of looking at what crochet fabric looks like
Yeah.
and assuming that that bumpiness is going to annoy my feet. But I could be wrong. It
Mm-hmm.
may not be annoying. But I did, after I watched this, I did, before we came on here today, I did look at a couple other, one was a video, and then I think one was somebody's website, which I'm not going to link because I took 2 seconds to look at them. But
The knit
where it
version.
was knit, where it's knitting, one was more like this crocheted version where you have this one whole thing, and the other one was, which I'm interested to try because I have knit socks the conventional way before. And
Mm-hmm.
this other pattern that I saw the toe and the short row heel and everything was knit the way the sock normally would be, and then it's just kind of open down the side.
Okay.
So you only have one side really to sew up, because this
Okay.
here looks like you're gonna have two sides to sew up.
Yep.
And the other knit version I saw was similar to this. You sandwich it together like this, and you've got two sides to sew up. The other one that I saw was like more like one side, and you're doing more of a mattress stitch, so you can't even really see the seam.
Yeah, so instead of folding it like hamburger style, then it's like this and you fold it hot dog style and do one seam.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, like
Okay.
that. So because I do still have some sock yarn left here from that phase where I was doing socks.
Mm-hmm.
I only actually finished making like two, maybe three complete pairs of socks before I gave up on it, because I mean, in theory I like knitting socks, but when I get away from using double pointed needles for a while, then I really don't want to pick them back up.
Yeah, I
And
feel you.
that's what I've got right now. I've got double pointed needles all over the house that I just don't even want to pick up. I start to cast them on and it's like I just don't want to do this. Once you get it started, but it's that very beginning casting on those all, 4 or 5 needles to make
I'm
that
listening. My
circle.
laptop is dying, so I've got to go get my charger.
I know,
But I can
I
still hear
know.
you, and I think you'll still be able to hear me.
But casting on the 4 or 5 needles and trying to get them together so it's not twisted, and then knitting those first 3 or 4 rounds is very fiddly. And when I first did it, it was interesting, but now I just oh, and Darlene loves knitting socks. Again, once I get past the first 3 or 4 rounds of it, I enjoy it too. But then having to start the other sock and do that again, it's just the beginning rounds just annoy me.
Yeah, I think
So
that's why that appealed to me is because I was like, because I've never made socks, but I was a little intimidated about trying to figure out the like toe heel situation. But this feels like I don't have to do as much figuring out. I just fold it and sew it together.
so
Ooh,
maybe
we doing
maybe we'll
vibration
try
break.
socks. Who knows?
We'll
Maybe we'll
show up
come back
next
here next
Friday with a
week.
bunch of socks made.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But hopefully we'll show up next week with something made beside this blanket that I'm still working on.
Yeah, hopefully I'll show up next week and say somebody bought the blanket. Thank heavens, I'm selling stuff at this bougie market.
Well,
That's what I am hoping for.
as cold as it is, I hope you are selling something at that bougie market.
Last week I was so frustrated because last week, like, because it is a bougie area, but I only made two sales, and someone said they wanted to do a commission, but they have yet to email me about it. But I only made two sales, and both of them were cup cozies.
Hmm.
So
Well, it's
I'm
kind
still
of
waiting to
like
hear back.
what I
Go ahead.
said. You kind of need to focus on the small stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I made a ton more scrunchies because I was selling scrunchies. Ooh, it looks like you need to clear out somebody in the comments. Um,
Yeah. How do I do that?
I don't know, but I will keep rambling while you figure that out. But yeah, I made because I was selling basically at the Mars Hill Farmers Market, which is my home market, but it's a very slow market for me, at least right now, because I'm not doing let's see, where are you girls at? We are in North Carolina. Um, I'm up more in the mountains of North Carolina, which is why I'm all sweatered up and wrapping my hat scarf around my neck because it is chilly. It dropped 20 degrees. So I think the high of today is like 40 something, maybe. And I know that on Sunday, when I'm supposed to be vending at the bougie place, is the lowest high that we have this week. It's going to be 37 on Sunday. So I'm gonna be out there freezing my butt off again. And then
Oh
mother,
goodness.
she is down in, you're in, that area is the Piedmont, right? It's still, sort
Yeah,
of.
it's considered the Piedmont area, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
So
not quite as cold, but it
I'm
still
in
gets kind of
the
chilly down there.
I'll say I'm in a bedroom community of Charlotte.
Yeah, and I am in one of the Asheville surrounding areas, Fresno, California. I've always wanted to go to California. It
It,
looks so fun.
I wouldn't mind going to California, but I don't want to fly. You
Why
know
don't you
how I
want to
feel about
fly?
flying. And your father had the nerve to say, "Well, we could do this other cruise if we set it up for Spirit or Frontier. If we fly Spirit or Frontier." Do you
You
remember?
mean the two airlines that they make jokes about all the time? Didn't was Spirit the one that
No,
we? Which one were we on?
the airline where we were so
So
squished
cramped.
that we were practically
Yes,
crying on that flight.
it was
When we got off of that flight
miserable.
and made the connection to American
Hmm.
Airlines and actually had leg room, I swear I wanted to shout hallelujah.
And I think that was one of the was that one of the first ones that Wayne was on too? I think it was.
I think so,
And
yeah.
he, it was just not a good experience for him because he had never flown before. And he, even still to this day, even all these planes that we've been on so far, he is terrified of flying because he is just convinced that as soon as he is on that plane, it's going to go down for some reason. And so
Oh,
being in that super cramped area and no room to move around, it just made it so much worse. But yeah, that is not the way to do it.
I told him, I said, we were ready to cry on that flight. I am not going anywhere on Spirit again.
It was miserable. Also, Spirit Airline is is the airline that everyone makes fun of. Like everyone.
But it's cheap. And he was
Um,
like, well, but if it gets you there, and I'm like, you are bigger than me. How are you not? Because he's 6'1". How are you not
mhm.
complaining about this?
Yeah,
Anyway,
some people
next
are
thing
able
on
to
your
just tune that stuff out. Go ahead.
next thing on your list. What do you want to talk about next, ma'am?
I've got my stitch counter up, counting my crocheting right now. I can't read it. What's the next thing written?
You have trying to consume new content.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's something that I wanted to talk about. Um, it's I'm having a hard time. So this goes with later with the book that I am currently quote unquote reading. Can you call it reading if you're listening to an audiobook? Because I'm not using my
Yeah,
eyeballs, but I'm using my
yes,
brain. Okay.
people still call it reading.
Okay. So this goes with the current book that I'm reading later, that we can talk about later, or we can talk about it now. We can combine them. But I wanted to listen to an audiobook because I'm trying to, especially working with this blanket, it's I found myself messing up rows and having to go back and redo some rows. And so I was like, I really need to keep my eyes on this blanket so that I can make sure that I'm going the right way. And so I was like, let me find something to listen to. I'm caught up on all of my podcasts basically. I'm having and most of the main podcasts that I listen to come out once a week. So I like need something to because I will catch up on all of them so fast. And so I was trying to look for a new audiobook to listen to, a new podcast to listen to. And my issue is that I am looking through these things, but I can't be bothered to listen to something that I don't like. And so I don't want to start anything
Uh,
new in case I don't like it. And so I just keep listening to the same audiobooks and podcasts and stuff over and over. And I'm like, but it's making me miserable because I'm like, I want new content, but I'm afraid to try the new content in case it's bad. Not like I mean, it's not even going to kill me or anything if I like wasted 30 minutes listening to a podcast and was like, oh, I didn't really like that. But like, I just can't even bring myself to press the play button because I'm like, I don't know if I like this. Like, and I haven't even, I don't know. And I'm having the same issue with like audiobooks and TV shows too, where I'm like, I want to try something new, but I'm afraid I'm not going to like it. I'm having trouble consuming
I
new media.
You are your mother's daughter. You are your mother's daughter because I'm like that too. I'm like that with practically everything. That's why I stick to like when we have our viewing nights, I tend to lean toward um the trashy reality shows
Mhm.
because those are just easier to watch, and even if we hate them, we can make fun of them, and they're usually
Yeah.
only an hour an episode, and then we can move on to something else, or 30 minutes an episode, and we can move on to something else. I just like making an investment into like, especially since movies are getting long these days, to where they're like movies used to be like 90 minutes, and now movies are like 2 hours,
That
two and
was
a half
such an
hours. I
old
just,
person thing to say.
oh,
Movies are getting
shut
long
up.
these days.
Oh, shut up. But they are.
They are. They
A
are getting. It
movie
feels like they're getting
a
longer.
movie used to be an hour and a half, and now movies
Hmm.
are getting longer and longer,
Like two and a half
especially
hours.
since they're gonna be on streaming services, and they can have them however long they want to, because they don't have to deal with the
The
time
theaters.
constraint, or whatever. And
Hmm.
I just don't want to invest my time. I look at podcasts, and I read, like, this goes more toward books than anything else, but like with books, I do not understand people who a lot of the people I watch, three or four different people on YouTube who talk about books. And most of them do not read the synopsis of the book
They just
before
start.
they start reading. They just, like, somebody will tell them the title and the author, and they'll say, "Oh, this is good," and they'll give a general, because I read mostly romance. Okay,
Hmm.
so there's different kinds of subgenres in romance, and so they'll give the subgenre or the trope, like, "Oh, this is enemies to lovers," or "This is, boss and secretary," or "This is billionaire," or whatever.
I could not
And
imagine
pe
jumping
and
into a piece of media cold turkey like that.
that is all these people go on before they pick up the book. And it's like, no,
Never.
no.
Absolutely not.
I eliminate so many books before I get down to I eliminate so many books before I ever even check them out from the library, or check them out from Kindle Unlimited. The majority of my reading is Kindle Unlimited these days because my library card has expired, and I haven't gone in person. I have to go in person to
Oh,
renew
okay.
it.
That explains that.
So, yeah. For those who don't know, I don't drive, so I do not have a driver's license. So for me to do anything, either my husband has to take me or whatever. And I could get an Uber or a Lyft, because I'm not taking Uber. But so my card has expired, but I was a heavy library user before my
Hmm.
card expired. But I since I can look up stuff online, I eliminate so many books before I
Hmm.
ever check them out, because I read the synopsis, and I am and it could be that there are books that I'm missing that are pretty good, you know, but for the most part, I there's whole subgenres of, like, I don't read contemporary, so that leaves everything out.
What is
Um,
contemporary? What does that fall under? Like what? Give me an
um,
example.
con- okay, contemporary is just modern, here and now. It's just regular world. It's just modern
Boring.
day. It's just modern day. Like, two people who worked together and fall in love, or two people who happen to be neighbors, and they're fighting over whether they're going to put the fence in between their yards, and now they fall in love.
See, I'll watch anime
Contem-
like that. I will not read a book like that.
Contemporary. I do not read contemporary. For a long time, I read what you and your siblings fondly think of as my prairie romances, but I haven't read I haven't read those. Were basically historical, and what they call inspirational, which means the characters are Christian. Somebody has a come to Jesus moment at some point in the book, and then the couple fall in love.
Hmm.
And I read a lot of those when you guys were still in high school and college, but I haven't. I stopped reading those years ago. and I went through a thing with contemporary and billionaire where the hero is, a billionaire, and basically the heroine is usually some poor somebody, and he sweeps her away and solves all her problems with his money, and then they fall in love. And I'm oversimplifying it, but you know what I mean.
That sounds like
And
capitalism, the romance story.
and I used to read those because let's face it, I read for escapism, and who doesn't want somebody to
Mm-hmm.
sweep in and solve all their problems? Some people don't like to
Oh,
read that
exactly.
because it's like I don't want somebody's money to solve all my problems.
I want
No,
somebody's money to solve all my problems.
exactly. I want somebody's money to
Please.
solve all my problems too. So, but I don't read those anymore because I don't read contemporary anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
now I pretty much read alien, sci-fi alien romances or
Which is
monsters,
still hilarious to me.
ogres and orcs and stuff like that. But I don't. But I also this also I don't want to read if they were friends for years and they finally decided they're going to fall in love. I don't want to read brother's best friend, sister's best friend, cousin's best friend. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
read any of that. I don't want to read where a second chance romance, which is you used to date in high school and then there was some sort of falling out or breakup or misunderstanding, and so then that usually the heroine moves away and goes to college and gets a good job or whatever, but then has to come back home for some crazy reason.
That sounds
And
like the plot of Christmas Lifetime movies where they're like, man,
yes.
my job working for the editor of this newspaper is really hard. You should go home and get some fresh air for this holiday season. You go home, Tommy, is that you? When did you get so strong? Oh no, they need me back there, but I don't know if I can leave. Tommy, do we actually have a secret love going on? But we can't. And he's like, why don't you come over to my bakery? Oh, I think I'm going to stay home anyway. Happy holidays.
Exactly. 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 It boils down to if I had to boil it down to put all those subgenres into one big pot, I don't like the hero and the heroine to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if they went to high school together or they knew each other because the hero was best friends with her brother or her cousin or her sister or whatever, I don't want them to know each other. I want them to meet each other
Mm-hmm.
fresh. So enemies to lovers is better than friends to lovers for me.
Yeah.
And I contemporary is just boring to me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I, I
It
don't I don't
is.
know how to explain it, but it's just like real life. So unless I'm going to read a billionaire,
Ooh, Darlene is saying, well, you guys have a happy Thanksgiving and we'll see you Friday. Hubby just got home. Ooh, you have a happy Thanksgiving too. Thank you for joining us, Darlene.
thanks for hanging for a little bit and listen to us ramble about all kinds of things.
Yeah, you came in the middle of my yarn rant and I apologize. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Darlene. But I don't what was I saying?
You don't
I
want them
don't
to know
know.
each other, and contemporary is boring.
Yes, contemporary is boring. So right now I pretty much read um aliens. Oh, I also don't like cuz said this to you about true crime. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
I don't like anything with crime. So mafia is
Mm-hmm.
big, and I don't like mafia. Rock, motorcycle club is big, and I don't like motorcycle club. There are people who read where the hero is a serial killer. Hell
Jeez,
to the gnaw. I
that's
am
real
not. I
aggressive.
don't. Yeah, I don't want to read any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to read any of that, which leads into the book that I was wanting to tell you about last week,
Oh yeah,
which
good.
which it goes against what I would normally read.
Oh,
But I
you have
that's
piqued my
that's
interest.
kind of whatever. But that's why I say um sometimes reading the synopsis may eliminate things that I would like once I get
Mm-hmm.
into it. Because this book matched with Wraith by C.Y. Crock
Mm-hmm.
is it's an alien romance. And I had read the first book in the series and I enjoyed the first book. And the first book wasn't too heavy. And this character, Wraith, was from the first book. So I was like, okay, I enjoyed the first book, so I'll read this second book. And well, no, let me take that back. The first book is really kind of out of what I would normally read
Mm.
because it falls into the category of I thought it was a I like mate what they call the mating agency romances, you know,
Dating
where
agency. This feels like it's gonna be gross.
no, like a dating app, you know,
Oh,
where you get
okay.
where you get paired with somebody,
Oh,
okay?
okay, okay, okay.
And so I usually like those because those are like the alien version of um mail order bride,
Mm-hmm.
which used to be one of my favorites back when I read the prairie romances, the historical romances, mail order bride. Even though I don't read historical that much anymore, I will still occasionally pick up a mail order bride because I just like those. That's the ultimate of we don't know each other, but now we're stuck in this situation, and so now we
Mm-hmm.
got to learn to know each other. So I like those. Um,
Okay.
and fake dating kind of goes along with that. I like fake dating too. So this was in that this series is in that category, but I thought it wasn't going to be that cuz usually the dating agency ones are, you know, just them getting to know each other and build a life and blah blah blah. This is what I would call a running and gunning romance. And I don't
Ooh.
read the running and gunning. Okay, where but the first book didn't have that much running and gunning till this like the second half of the book. But this one, let me just tell you about this one.
Yeah,
Matched with
explain.
Wraith by C.Y. Crock. Wraith was in the first book, but you don't have to read the first book to read the second book. That's another thing I like is that most of these are standalones. Wraith saw his friend get a mate from a dating agency.
Okay.
And it worked out really well for him. His friend was going through this alien PTSD, and having a mate calmed him down and it helped. And so he was like, they had both served in the military together. So he's like, well, let me go with a dating agency. But his friend had went through a dating agency that was through his job. That's a whole different thing that was part of the first story. So
Mm-hmm.
Wraith couldn't go through that dating agency. So Wraith went to a different dating agency. And it turned out, and this other girl from Earth, in this scenario, Earth is um I'm trying to look at the time so I can not ramble too much.
Oh, you're good.
Earth Earth is a wasteland. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Earth is hella crowded. Okay. So people are just jammed in everywhere, you know, and it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to find a good mate. So, and there's pollution and just all kinds of stuff wrong with Earth. So she joins a dating agency to find somebody, and Wraith joins the same dating agency. Turns out the dating agency guy was corrupt and hid all these secret clauses in this teeny tiny print that did not look like
Okay.
print. It was so tiny it looked like somebody actually accidentally smudged some ink on the paper.
Rude.
And when he magnified it, 1,000 times and threw it up on the wall. Turns out there were these conditions. And so basically, she said she wanted a certain kind of mate. Wraith said that he wanted a certain kind of mate. And but the dating agency person mated them with each other. They were not the kind of mate that each other wanted.
Okay.
Well, Wraith looked at her and wanted her. She didn't want an alien that looked like an alien.
She
She
wanted
wanted
a
somebody who,
humanoid alien.
yes, humanoid. She wanted somebody who looked humanoid, not an alien who looked like an alien. And so she turned it down.
Ooh.
But in the fine print, if you turn down the person, then I was trying to find out what the girl's name was because I can't remember. Because I once I
Oh,
read
you're
these
good.
books, I forget everything.
Mm-hmm.
I forget everything. So I cannot, and it's not even,
You're good. It
I
doesn't matter.
can't.
Keep going.
Okay, so
In the clause, if you
so
turn
so
down
so
the
so
mate.
basically so basically she turned him down, and so now she either has to go to a prostitution planet for a year,
Ooh.
a prison planet for a year,
Ooh.
or or participate, or or meet up with the person she turned down face to face. That's the way it's
Okay.
presented to her. So she has to put on this jumpsuit, and because she's like, well, I'm not doing those other two. So I'm gonna put on this jumpsuit and meet him face to face. So she puts on the
Mm-hmm.
jumpsuit, goes in the room, turns out, and he has to do the same thing because it turns out if he gets turned down, he gets either prison planet, hard labor planet, prostitution planet, have to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out the owner of the dating agency has done this to 8 other people. So 5 other
Jeez.
couples. So there's 10 people altogether. Okay.
Okay. All
Five
trying to
women,
meet face
five
to face so they
men.
don't have to do the thing.
Uh-huh. But what it is not just meeting face to face. The owner of the place wants to um do his own reality show. And so
Oh,
he has these investors. And so he locked them in to be the first people to do the trial run of the
the
reality show.
shade.
So everybody is watching them, and they have to go through, it's like a race, but it's not just a race of like who's the fastest to get to this place or this place. It's like it's complicated. It's like you got these wristbands that you have to wear that show you how to get to this place, and then if you're the
Mm-hmm.
first person there, then you'll get the food at a box. But then anybody who comes after you doesn't get any food. So it's up to you if
Ooh.
you want to share or not.
This feels like
And
Squid Game.
people can steal your wrist because you don't know where to go without your wristband. So people could steal your wristband off you, and so it's a lot of running and gunning, and everybody is like every man for himself.
Oh my
And
goodness.
if somebody just decides they're going to or whatever, then everybody else has to go to the prison planet or the prostitution planet.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
so
It
like
sounds like
everybody's
people are
like
about to start murdering people. It feels like Squid Game.
exactly. It's crazy, and I don't read that kind of crap.
No, I am very surprised that you're reading that.
I do not read that kind of crap, but and there's more to it that I'm not gonna, because if anybody watches this, they might want to read the
Mhm.
rest of it. So I do not want to, because there's some surprises in there. So I do not want to mess up the surprises.
Mhm.
Um, but for any of my romance readers, if you want to know, it's on Kindle Unlimited. So you can read it for free on Kindle Unlimited, or it is I think it's like 2.99. Most of those books are 2.99 if
Mhm.
you buy the ebook, but it's on Kindle Unlimited, which is where I get most all of my books. And it's it's not long. It's like I think 150 pages because I don't read long ones. No, it might be longer than that because it feels like there was a lot more to that. It might be longer than that, but it was good. It was
Hmm.
good. It's just not the kind of book that I normally read.
Yeah, that does not sound like the kind of book you normally read.
And if it
Are
had
you?
and if I
I was gonna say, are
what?
you enjoying the sequel so far?
Yeah, I read the first book, I read the second book, I read the third book,
Oh, dang, we are already through it.
and the fourth book is not out yet, but I will
Hmm.
probably read the fourth book. But they are all running and gunning, all of
Hmm.
them. There is fighting, there is slashing, there is, there's blood, guts, and gore and veins in the teeth, as I like to say. It's 189
Ooh,
pages, so
okay, not too bad.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's not long because I don't like to read the really long ones. It's 189 pages, and I think it's 299. I can't
I wonder
tell
if they have it
because
on. I wonder if they have it on Spotify. I should check that later. Because I've been
well,
listening to my
usually
podcast or my audiobooks on Spotify.
I don't do audiobooks hardly ever anymore. And usually these books are by what they call indie authors, so there's usually not an audio version.
I wonder if
So,
I could be their audiobook reader. I wanted to get into audiobook reading so badly, but it feels so hard to break into that market. Like it feels like there's information that I don't have that I don't know how to get of like where to apply for these things and all kinds of stuff. And then there's a bunch of websites they're like, oh yeah, totally apply here and just give us your credit card number and we'll tell you when you got the job. And like there's websites that definitely feel like scammy. But I feel like I would be a decent audiobook reader. Audiobook voice. What in
you've
the
got a good
world?
voice. You've got a good voice. So, do you want to tell me about what you've been reading, man?
Well, I am just rereading Hitchhiker's Guide, which is really silly because I have read the entire series already. Like I physically read it, like didn't audiobook read it. I
Uh,
physically read it. I used to own the hardback copy of all of the books together in one hardback until
uh,
I lent it to a friend, never got it again.
I
And that
remember.
is what my only tattoo is from Hitchhiker's
Uh,
Guide. That is what my only tattoo is from. But I was like, I feel like listening to some like space fantasy and I was scrolling through because I just want all of my media in one place. And so I'm listening to it on Spotify. And Spotify's like, hey, we got audiobooks now. And so I'm listening to it on Spotify. But
so,
it's
wait a
also,
minute, but you've got it on Spotify. Did you buy it?
yeah,
Because
I had to
one
buy it.
time I looked,
It was like $12.
ugh,
And yeah, it kind of hurt me, but I was like, you know what? I really like this book. I know I'm going to enjoy listening to it. I'm just going to pay for this and listen to it again. So I have something to listen to in between my podcasts or whatever. Um,
yeah,
so
I
I'm
mean,
listening to that again. Go
I
ahead.
don't need you to be like me. Because you know me, I'm like, oh no, I cannot spend the monies.
I cannot spend $3 for even
I
anything.
cannot I cannot spend the monies. But so you're enjoying your revisit to Douglas Adam World?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't know if I'm gonna get the other books. Probably not. But I like the first book was really my favorite. So I'm enjoying. I'm only like 4 chapters in right now because I like listened to it for a while and then my podcast came out. And I've been listening to like Dimension 20 because it's one of the ones that like they're not super heavy on the visuals, and so I can listen to it without feeling like I'm missing too much on the screen. But the other thing I want to talk about, which I know is an item on our list, and it's probably the last thing that I have to talk about, is I want to listen to, so I primarily am listening to audiobooks so I can listen while I am working so I don't feel like I'm wasting time. Because if I'm just sitting reading a book, I feel like I could be doing something with my hands.
Mhm.
But so I'm listening to audiobooks so I can feel like I'm doing something with my time. But I want to listen to like I want more fantasy books, but I'm trying to find more, like I'm trying to be proactive and find more like fantasy and sci-fi books by Black authors. But when you look for books by Black authors, they are all about the struggle. And I don't
No,
need books about the struggle.
I know,
I just want fun fantasy that happens to be written by a Black person. Like I want fun
I know.
fantasy that happens to star a Black character. And it's so frustrating. I know a lot of other people have talked about this before, but I'm just also adding my voice to those people that are talking about that, because it is just like, it's so frustrating. It goes along with the same thing that I saw somebody on TikTok talking the other day about, like, when I look up, I'm tired of having to put black girl when I'm in front of something when I'm Googling it. Like, if I am
Uh-huh.
looking up a hairstyle, if I'm looking up bubble braids, and then I see I have to put black girl bubble braids or natural hair bubble braids in front of everything. Like, I just want,
Yeah.
I'm tired of having to specify that that's what I want.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. I
So if
get you.
anyone sees this and they have any recommendations of audiobooks that are written by, and not even just white people, just like BIPOC, any BIPOC, like fantasy, sci-fi, even if it's like YA, because I don't mind listening to some YA stuff. I don't mind like watching like young adult like TV shows and stuff like that, because it's like, it's entertaining and it's easy enough to follow that I don't have to be focusing on it so much, because I don't have to pay attention to all of the in-depth Game of Thrones-esque politics going on. So like, if you, that's why I stopped watching Crown of Candy on Dimension 20, because it's meant to be their like Game of Thrones version, but everybody's like made of food or whatever. But I was like, the reason I
Uh-huh.
stopped watching Game of Thrones is because it's like when conspiracy theorists have those maps and there's all the red strings connecting everywhere. I can keep
Uh-huh.
track of maybe 3 strings at a
Uh-huh.
time. As soon as you add a fourth, you have
Exactly.
lost me.
Exactly.
It is
Exactly. I
so
know.
hard for me to follow. But yeah,
Um,
so anybody out there, if you have suggestions, please throw a comment, message me on TikTok, or throw something on Instagram. Find me somewhere. Let me know. I'm looking for something to listen to, and I want to support people. If you wrote a book and have an audio book that is BIPOC, I don't want to just some fantasy, some sci-fi. Come on.
well,
That is my
I'll
2 cents today.
try. I will try to keep my eyes open. I mean, I normally skim right past. If it looks like it's going to be more fantasy than romance, I normally skim right past, but I will try to keep my eyes open for you,
Mm. I don't mind a
my
little romance,
child.
but I also want some like, I want some action. Fight a dragon for me. Ride a unicorn. Like, bring down the big bad guy. But like, I prefer romance to be like, if romance is there, that's fine. I don't want it to be the main subject of what's going on.
Yeah, see, I lean more toward sci-fi and aliens than I do toward dragons and witches and fae and things like that. So,
I mean, I don't mind
but
sci-fi. Like I said,
we'll
I'm
see.
relisting the Hitchhiker's Guide right now. So if you find some good BIPOC sci-fi, please.
I will try, see what I can do. So, do you want to talk about these video games or do we want to leave this till next week?
We can leave until next week. Yeah, I added those at the last second, and we talked about yarn stuff for a long time.
We did, we
A lot
did.
long. We talked about it for like an hour, so we can talk about it next week. That'll give us something
We
to
did.
look forward to talking about next week.
So next week can be video games since this week was books.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe the week after that, we'll watch some more. I'll force you to watch some more anime, and we can talk about anime.
Uh, let's not push our luck. Let's not push our luck. Okay, well, thank you everybody who came to hang with us. Thank you to anybody who sees this later. You know, if you watch this after the live broadcast, feel free to leave a comment down below to let us know that you watched, because we'd like to know if you watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, if you are watching this shortly after we record this, American Thanksgiving will be next week.
Yeah,
And but we most likely will record unless something weird happens.
I don't
We
think
will
anything
most
weird's gonna
likely
happen.
Yes, we will most likely record because it's Friday, it's Black Friday. I'm not going Black Friday shopping.
If I'm
I
doing
don't
any Black
know.
Friday shopping, it's gonna be online.
Thank you. So
You're not gonna catch
so
me
maybe
getting trampled in a store.
so maybe next week we can talk about some casual video games, maybe
Mm-hmm.
talk about Christmas romances. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe. Well, I've been reading some Christmas romance, and I'm gonna go down that road. And projects to show. Maybe this will be something other than a ball of yarn by next week.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have those
But
dragon scale bracers together. We'll see. And if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, throw something in the comments and maybe we can get it squeezed in after our hour and a half of yarn talk.
well, hopefully we won't ramble too much about yarn next week. But we do have to put it up top because that's what
Mm-hmm.
my subscribers who do subscribe, that's what they're here for is yarn. So we do put the yarn up front. But
And
yeah,
she schedules these ahead of
that's
time. So if
us.
you want to know when these are coming up, press the like little notification bell or whatever on YouTube. Subscribe. Press the bell. We're gonna be real YouTubers.
We're
Subscribe.
not gonna be
Hit the bell.
don't talk about subscribing
Leave a comment.
and clicking the bell and the notification and blah blah blah. Although
If you won't do it, I will.
I will try to schedule the upcoming thing before an hour. But usually I wait an hour before the live to put it because I don't know that I'm going to do it. But I guess since we've done this 3 weeks in a row,
Are you finally
I guess
convinced that we're gonna do this?
maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. So maybe I'll put it up early. But I do if something is going to change, I do make a post in the community tab
Mm,
on my channel page, on my YouTube channel page. I do make a post in the community tab. And so, yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
leave a comment down below if you have anything you want us to talk about next week. And come check us out Friday afternoon,
Hopefully around
roughly
4.
3:45, 3:45 roughly.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.